Week 1, Lecture 9, the second part of discussion of functions in Julia. So this is about user-defined functions. We will look at one-line function definitions, multi-line function definitions, and how to create multiple methods for functions. The one-line function definition is a very simple device. We simply say the function and the variables on the left, we equal it to some code on the right, and that's it. When we do that, it tells us that a generic function with one method is being created. The method, of course, is 20 times first var. So the rules now. The name of the function, in this case myfunc, must be a valid variable name. And the argument, likewise, must be a valid variable name. And the argument must be inside parentheses immediately after the function name. Then we have an equal sign, and then to the right we have a little bit of code. So the code here is the actual calculation that evaluates the function. It's not quite accurate that it must fit on one physical line. Strictly speaking, it's a single statement. Compound statements are often written with line breaks to help the human reader. On the other hand, when things are really short, we can logically end this line physically and then add another line on the same physical line, which is a new logical line. But that's very bad practice in coding, to mix things in different lines. So one line is a good way of talking about this function definition. So when we call myfunc, we just multiply by 20. 333.2222, multiply it out. Interestingly enough, this 5 here comes up out of nowhere. If we want a 2-argument function, we can just create it. Another add x to y. Just x plus y. It's not supposed to be useful. It's just illustrating how you have two variables. Again, it's a generic function with only one method. If we mix the types, it doesn't care. As we said, you don't have to worry about types. Julia will take care of types for you. Let's move now to multi-line functions. Here we introduce the function with a reserved word function. So now this starts the definition of a function, and we have to end the definition of the function with a keyword end. Then we put the actual code to be executed below the line with function. It could be long, and it's very useful to include white space and comment lines here to help the reader understand what the function is doing. On the same line as function, just as in the case of one-line functions, we put a valid variable name. This is the name of the function, and we put the type signature using valid variable names for each argument. Execute that, it compiles, there's only one method, call that, and of course a times b plus c is 7 times 5 plus 3. Okay, so let's illustrate this with something that is often useful when you're trying to debug functions. It just tells you inside the function what things look like from the inside of a function. I'm going to make use of the escape character $. You recall that this doesn't create a dollar by itself, but rather it modifies what happens immediately after it is put in. So this function, again, it's a generic function with one method, show debug println. So notice that I'm using a spelling error. This is actually not identical to the name of the function. That doesn't matter because it's inside a string. For the human reader, show debug print is a strong hint that we're actually talking about the function show debug println. It accepts a variable. When it comes in, it announces that we're inside the function, and then this bit of code tells us that the type of test var, which is that, is $ open parentheses type of open parentheses test var close. So type of test var is of course the function type of applied to test var. This $ says that whatever starts at these parentheses and then ends at this parenthesis here has to be treated as if it's a bit of code, not as a string. So this $ escapes out of the string format and into the code format. So this little bit is treated as code. If it's just a function name, we don't have to put the parentheses. We can just have $ function name. So we create here an array. The first one is single quotes 1 and then 2.0. So what are those actual types? If we ask ourselves, how does that arrive? The first thing we see is the report that we're inside, show debug print. That is, this text line here is printed, and then the next text line here is printed. It says that the type of test var is array any, and the value of test var is any, like this. So it's an array with 2 values of type any. Why any? This is a float. This is really a character. And so it has to be of a type that combines both floats and characters, a much more abstract type, namely any. Okay, so that's week 1. So we have got started on Julia, but there's still some way to go. Please make sure that you complete all the quizzes, and in particular the assignment, to get you ready for week 2.